Shalom, shalom, shalom. What's going on, family? What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody's doing well. What's going on? What's going on? Shalom, shalom, shalom. What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's doing well. We're going to get into part 2 of our lesson and conversation. Shalom, what's going on? Deacon Riddick, what's going on? Shalom, shalom. This is part 2. What's going on, Pop Curry? What's going on, family? Brother Chris Terry, what's going on with you? We're getting into part 2 of our lesson on today. The Levites and the tithe. We're going to deal with the different tithing systems on today. I think it's very important that we understand that. And so I came with some equipment. I got a couple of different Bibles with me to bring out some things. So I got, of course, the standard KJV. I have also the Good News Bible with the Apocrypha and Deuterocanon in it. So I'm going to be dealing with some things out of there. And I also have a CEV with me as well to bring out some things. I also have a CJB, a Complete Jewish Bible, as well as the CSB, the Christian Standard Bible, and I also have an Amplified. And so I'm going to be just going into some things. We're going to look at to bring out some things. So definitely what's going on, everybody. Hope everybody is set and tuned in. Give everybody time enough to jump on so we can deal with this on today, part 2. Part 1 has kind of been, it's on my page. Many of you saw part 1 on my page. And so I pray that part 1 was a blessing to you. We're going to get into part 2 on today. We're going to get into the different systems of tithe under the Levitical priesthood and the ordinance that was given to them. And so we'll find out that many people will probably find out in some level or some another, they probably are in violation if we did things based off of not only even the Old Testament, but even under the New Testament standard of things. When it comes down to dealing with tithes or whatnot. And so I think or offering in that matter. Nothing goes away. We still have to deal with the fact that we still have the less fortunate. We still have widows. We still have even hold on, let me make sure I turn off notifications so y'all don't hear that. All right. Hope everybody is set. Let me fix this. All right. Hope everybody, I'm just giving everybody the opportunity to jump in, man, to jump on, because I know this is kind of a subject that everybody talks about, that everybody want to talk about it. Everybody is always harping about, griping about, complaining about, and I want to be able to lay some foundation so y'all can get some understanding of this. Especially the thing is that what I cannot stand is people who have no understanding of Torah and trying to tell people what the Torah says about certain things, or people who don't even consider it to be valid in today's time in which we live. Yesterday I was a little hyped yesterday. I'm going to be a little more mellow today. We're going to get into some scripts. Again, I brought a couple of different things with me. Again, I'll let you know. I have the KJV with me, the standard KJV. I have the Good News with the Apocrypha and the Deuterocanonical. I also have a CEV, the Contemporary English version. I also have with me here as well. I also have the 1611 with me as well, in which I'll be going into some of the Apocrypha and looking at that just to kind of give y'all an understanding of some things. I have an Amplified with me. I have a CSB with me. I have a complete Jewish Bible. Like I got some stuff with me. Some stuff I just pulled out so that way we can get an understanding of really what's going on, because we have to understand there are 3 different tithing systems, and we're going to look at it. And whether you are subscribed to Old Testament, many people who are Christians, many of them don't subscribe to the customs of the Old Testament. And I'm just using the term Old Testament because that's the modern term. I myself don't view it as obsolete or old. And so the thing is, I think we have to look at it from the perspective of that even in the New Testament, when we deal with things from a New Testament perspective, many of the Israelites, many of them, the vast majority of Israelites, hold true to the custom. And I'm saying custom, not religion, not any of that, but the customary ordinances and the things of what many consider the Old Testament. It's a customary thing in which we operate by these things based off of custom, not based off of any type of religious, shall I say, obligation. And so when you deal with the New Testament, many will even go to the point of saying that within the New Testament there is no tithing and things of that nature. So let's just go with the idea that there's no tithing system when it comes down to the New Testament, and there is a offering style system. Many people who even adhere to the fact that there's no tithing within the New Testament, many of them, when you talk to them, they still don't even follow the New Testament of when it comes down to tithe or offering, when it comes down to dealing with those who are widows. Now, within the New Testament, the widows were still provided for based off of the Old Testament law. Why? Because they didn't have a New Testament in the New Testament. They had an Old Testament. So when there was a complaint that came by those who were Jews or Greek-speaking Jews against the Jews who never lost their heritage, or the Israelites who never lost their heritage, the complaint was they weren't providing for the widows. Okay, within the New Testament, this complaint came to the brethren that they were not providing for the widows based off the structure and the custom of the Old Testament or Old Covenant or Old Law, however you want to say it. So the gripe and the complaint was they weren't following the instructions of the Torah, even within the New Testament when it came down to dealing with widows. Not only that, even within the New Testament, there's still an obligation that we still have to make sure that we maintain and that we provide for even those who are orphans. Okay. Not only that, those who are homeless and who don't have, we still have an obligation under the new covenant or renewed covenant, whichever terminology you want to use, because I have Christians and Hebrews on here. There's still an obligation that must be followed based off what Old Testament law. So here's the thing. When we start dealing with this tithing system, I'm going to show you that there were money flowing through the temple even in the Old Testament. The argument is that tithing is solely based on the foundation of fruits and vegetables. And I'm going to show you that there was money, currency. First of all, let's get some understanding here. When Israel left Egypt, they weren't broke. For all of y'all that read your Bible, I'm not talking read your Bible to be able to find versions or verses within the Bible to be able to combat somebody or make somebody look bad. I'm not talking about people who read the Bible and study the Bible from an apologetic perspective. As an Israelite or anybody that holds true to the Bible, you should not be reading the Bible from an apologetic perspective. Your point of reading the Bible should be based off of how you live, based off of lifestyle, not based off apologetic or defense. That's not why we read the Bible. That's not why we embrace the Bible. That's not why we accept the ways of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and through his son, Yeshua HaMashiach, or Jesus the Christ, if you're a Christian. We shouldn't be looking at the Bible from that perspective. And oftentimes, the reason why we fail and the reason why we're in the position that we're in and lacking understanding is because we're reading the Bible from a perspective of what we want to read it from based off of our situation and circumstance. That's not how it should be read. The Bible was put together and placed together for a purpose for those who believe in the true and living Yah, to follow his ways and don't make the same mistakes of those who Israelites who gave you the book. Or follow the ways of ones who did it properly and correctly. It's a roadmap. It's a guideline. It's a way of showing us how to make sure that we do things properly, or how to do things properly, and make sure we follow the instructions given to us. The problem is we're missing the understanding. Shalom to all the family that's tuning in. We're missing it. Now we're going to deal with this because Israel came out of Egypt rich. They could not create a golden calf without any gold. They had to have something coming out of Egypt. In fact, they were instructed to go to the Egyptians, and the Egyptians gave them treasures. And when they left as a mixed multitude, but they also left balling. They weren't broke when they left. They might have were broke when they was in Egypt practically. They were rich spiritually because the Most High made sure that they had a way out. So they were rich spiritually, but they were broke practically and tangibly while they were in Egypt as slaves, but they left balling, rich in spirit and rich in their pockets. Let's establish that before we start getting to anything about some fruits and vegetables. Let's establish that Israel wasn't broke. Israel has never been broke. Only time they got broke is when they went into captivity. When they came out of captivity, when they got themselves together, the Most High blessed them richly. Just look at all the kings and look at all the people. Even those who were lower class, considered lower class in Israel, still was provided for and made sure because there was systems set up for people who may have been lower class. So this was about us, not a hierarchy system. So even if you don't believe in any form of tithing, and this is not a lesson pushing you to say, hey, you need to be tithing. This ain't a lesson to say, hey, you don't need to tithe. This is a lesson to show you the facts historically and biblically of what was going on in ancient Israel. Now, that's up to you. The New Testament did not do away with the Old Testament, so tithing was not abolished. Absolutely, Pop. Absolutely. But I think what people missing it is that people are looking at people and how people have been. Let me tell y'all something. Throughout history, there have been always priests abusing their position. Let's deal with that. Let's deal with Malachi chapter 1, 2, and 3. He specifically called out the priests for abusing their power and their position and taking stuff from him that belonged to him, that was told them to give to him. There've always been people do that. You're not going to go in any, let me tell you something, you're not going to go in any denomination or anywhere. Matter of fact, you go in corporate America, it's somebody in as a president or a CEO abusing their power and their position, stealing money. It's going to always be that. I don't care where you go. The government rob you on your taxes. Matter of fact, the cell phone that you bought, that iPhone and that Galaxy, probably only cost $15 to make, but you paid $1,000 for it. They robbed you. They robbed you. And guess what? You happily walk and go, you happily sign up to get robbed. It didn't cost them that much. Them Jordans you paid $200 for, them Air Max you paid $300 for, it cost you what, man? For about 60 pair of shoes, you can spend maybe $140 on 60 pair of shoes. But guess what? You paid $300 for one pair of shoes. You happily went and gave them your money when it didn't cost you that amount. Cost that amount to make it. So guess what? Everybody in some position in some kind of way, whether it's in the religious system or whether it's in the currency system or anywhere, is robbing somebody. It's just what it is. I don't care. You ain't got to never tithe. You still getting robbed by somebody. So here's the thing. Your mentality have to change based off of this. Why am I giving a tithe? Why am I giving an offering? Okay. First of all, I understand that the priests are in position. They are in position to be adherents to what the Father told them. You have been given instructions based off of what the Father told you. Now, the judgment and punishment is based upon what the Most High does to the person who abuses the situation. Now, your mentality may be, you know what? I'm going to tithe my time. But guess what? They got orphans out here. Guess what? They have the poor out here. Guess what else they have out here? They have widows out here. Now, you tithing your time ain't contributing anything to the orphan, ain't contributing anything to the widow, ain't contributing anything to the poor, which you have an obligation. You have an obligation to sow, whether you want to say it's fruits and vegetables. When do you do that? That's the thing. That is the thing. So the excuse of I tithe my time, that's not an ordinance. Show me that in the Bible. Tithing your time is not an ordinance in the Bible. It's not an instruction in the Bible. That's something you made up. And people making this stuff up all the time. Oh, I can tithe. They just say tithe. I just tithe my time. That ain't Bible. And people are saying this mess. And guess what? People have other people believe in that mess. It's not Bible. Period. Let's get that understood. Okay? Now, we're going to start out here. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter number 14. All right, we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter number 14. And we're going to read that. All right. Let's go to Deuteronomy 14. We're going to start at verse number 22. Deuteronomy 14, verse number 22. Now, this is the Most High talking to the children of Israel. Okay? He's talking to the children of Israel. Let's get that. Let's establish something here. Who he's talking to, which is very important to know who he's talking to. So let's read this. Verse number 22 of Deuteronomy 14. Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed. Now, I want y'all to understand something. We're dealing with the different tithing, okay? Under these different tithing, you have what is a Levitical or a Levitical tithe, or you have what is deemed a tithe of feast, okay, which we're going to get into, the tithe of feast. And they're also dealing with the tithe to the poor, okay, or those who don't have, all right? So these are requirements, all right? These are instructions given by the Most High, okay? So when we begin to deal with this, let's deal with this. So Deuteronomy 14, we're going to get into understanding these different tithing systems, okay, that is for Israel to participate in. Whether you claim to be spiritual Israel, which is, a lot of Christians say, oh, we spiritual Israel. Okay, you spiritual Israel, then you're going to have to do the things that are obligated based off of you being any association to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's just point blank what it is. If you declare that you are a bloodline descent of Israel, you have an obligation to follow the ordinance that is given to you, that is told based off the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Whether you identify as spiritual Israel, I'm not going to get into that, or if you identify as a natural blood Israelite, okay, you still have an obligation, okay, You still have an obligation. Okay? So let's look at this. Verse number 22 of Deuteronomy 14. Okay? Deuteronomy 14. Verse 22. Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed. All right? Now, when you understand seed based on the Hebraic point of view, that's not so much talking about money. Okay? Because Israel was an agricultural people. So the term in which he's speaking about harvesting. He's talking about this is a literal thing of seed, planting seed in the ground, harvesting it, okay, growing crops and things like that, because they were agriculture people that depend upon their system of agriculture. Okay, so let's read verse 22. Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed, that the field bringeth forth year by year. So the Most High say, listen, you have to put something in the ground in order for the ground to yield something. I'm going to water it. I'm going to get an increase. I'm going to do all these things, but don't just get to the point to where you go and you get your increase and you don't forget to put something back. We could take that principle even in a modern system today. Okay, you work on a job. Okay, you work on a job, and by you working on the job, thanks, Brother Fitzgerald, for putting that up. You working on a job, and you get an increase on your job. Don't forget, don't go out here blowing your money on rims, tires, and spend a whole bunch of clothes and all this other stuff. Don't forget to take some of that money, okay, from a modern day understanding. Don't forget to take that money, some of that money, and put it to the side so you can have something, okay, that can have you an increase or can take care of you during a time of need. All right, if we take these principles, we can get an understanding of how things work and operate. All right, but let's do it. We're still dealing from a Hebraic point of view, culturally and historically. This particular seed is talking about a physical seed that you plant in the ground to yield forth harvest and fruit. Okay, all right, let's see it. Verse 23. And thou shalt eat before the Lord thy Yah in the place which he shall choose to place his name there. This is very important. This is very important. This is Deuteronomy, okay? There's no temple. I want y'all to check this out. Listen, I want y'all to understand this. This is Deuteronomy. So there's no temple. They're in the wilderness. So the Most High is giving them instruction. Hey, sis, what's going on, Lady Kamisha? There's no physical temple right now. So they're the church in the wilderness, or they're the body in the wilderness, okay? These Israelites, they're as well as the stranger, okay? The non-Israelite is in the wilderness with them. So the Most High is speaking to them based off the instructions he's going to give them later on. So listen to what it says here. It says in Deuteronomy 14 in verse number 23, look what he says. Hey, Sister Brenda. It says, the Lord thy Yah in the place. Listen to this. In the place. This is why it's important to read slow to get an understanding. In the place which he shall choose to place his name. I want y'all to listen to this. Okay, so he said, listen, there's coming a time where I'm going to give you instructions on where the temple is to be and the specific place and location, okay, of where it's going to be. Look what it says. He says he's going to place his name there. Now he's going to give instruction of what part of the tithe to give, because understand something. This tithe that he's talking about, this is about making sure the community is provided for. Okay, so look at what he says. He says the tithe of thy corn. Remember, he just said seed. So he's talking about dealing with a physical, actual seed, okay, that's being planted in the ground, crops and harvest. Look what it says. The tithe of thy corn, of thy wine, and of thy oil. All right, so let's look at this. He said the tithe of thy wine. He didn't say the tithes of your grapes. Okay, This is after it's been pressed. So that right there, already right there, cancel out. It's just fruits and vegetables. Because once it becomes a liquid and processed, it's no longer fruit to you. It's not like a natural grape. All right. It's fermented. It's going through a process. So right there, that already right there cancels out. Different offerings are in different tithes. Okay. So this, he says, listen, the tithe of thy oil. Yes, these things are made from it, but it's not dealing from the solid. Okay. Go sit down. No, go sit down. All right. Look at what it says. And the firstling of thy herds. Listen, tithe. That right there, the herds are not fruits and vegetables. So that already cancels out this whole thing about tithe is only fruits and vegetables. No. It's different things that the Most High is using to make sure his community is provided for. That's the first thing we have to understand. Because he's thinking about there has to be provision made for poor people. There has to be provision made for people that are widow, for women that are widows. There has to be provision made for those who are orphans, who don't have people to take, parents to take care of them, or who've rejected them. So all of these things are important within the community because the production is for the community. And everybody has different needs in a community. Everybody don't need fruits and vegetables. And these tithes are brought to the priest so the priest can distribute the tithe to the people. You're not tithing to the priest. You're tithing based on instructions from the Most High so that the priest can distribute it to the people. You got to change your way of thinking. You have to change your way of thinking. This tithe, the instruction of the tithe, is not solely about the priest. The priest also has to be taken care of in this instance because the priest ain't got no job. His job is to take care of the temple 24/7, so he can't produce nothing. He can't put no seed in the ground. He's been instructed by the Most High 24/7 to work in the temple because people got to come to the temple. So they're dedicated their life to the temple, to taking care of the people, to take care of the temple, so that way when the tithes come in, they can distribute it properly to everybody. But we want to make this thing about, oh, the priest, oh, he ain't taking my money. All they do is want your money. First of all, we have to understand something, man. If we're going to understand what was happening in ancient Israel, you can't use the text of ancient Israel to make it seem as though in today's time is that it's the same mindset. It's not. Again, there's hustlers everywhere you go, whether it's in the church, whether it's in Israel. We've seen some hustlers in Israel recently. Hustlers in Israel, hustlers in the Christian church, hustlers at the job, hustlers at the cell phone place, hustlers at the grocery store. I mean, we get hustled every time we go to the grocery store. You go in Publix or Walmart or somewhere, you get 5 items, you had $150 already. You ain't bought nothing. You're getting hustled. So the hustling goes on everywhere. You still have to put trust in the Most High that he's going to make sure that the Most High use the priest to distribute the tithe or the offering or whatever you believe in, okay, is going to distribute it properly according to the law. Now, if he doesn't distribute it properly according to the law, the Most High has always dealt with the priest. The Most High he never told the people to deal with the priest. He's always dealt with the priest. If the priest was robbing him, he's always dealt with the priest. You trying to play God Jr., you trying to play Yah Jr., and worry about what the priest doing. You can't even bring your offering and the amount you're supposed to bring properly because you too busy worried about what the priest doing. The Most High don't need our help. He see everything and everybody, and he ain't gonna let nobody get away. Okay, now let's keep moving here. Look what it says here. Deuteronomy 14 and verse number 23. It says, and the firstling of thy herds, that's a tithe. Bring your herds because your herd is going to be a tithe too. and of thy flocks. Your flocks is a tithe too. Not your vegetables and not just your fruit. Your flock and everything that you possess, including money. Okay, because don't forget now, Israel had money. They was coming out of Egypt. They were coming out of Egypt. They had money. They had money in the form of gold pieces, whether it was earrings, jewelry, whatever it was. They had money. Okay, they were rich coming out of Egypt. So look at what it says here. It says, "First of thy herd and of thy flock, and thou mayest learn to fear the Lord thy Yah always." You need to learn to fear Yah always, whether you the priest or whether you the common man. So therefore, what he's saying is, you don't worry about what somebody else doing. You do what I told you to do based off of your reverence and fear of me. So you give, all right? And this point, if it's talking about not a fear of unrighteous fear, but it's saying of reverence to him and his power and what he can do. Okay? But let's keep reading verse number 24. "And if the way be too long for thee," he said, listen, whatever place that listen to this, I want y'all to listen to this careful. Whatever place that I put my name on as the place to bring the tithe to, look what it says in verse 24. "If the way be too long for you," meaning if the travel and the distance, wherever you live in, if it's too far for you and you have too much that you can't carry, you don't have a wagon or anything to carry on, and it's too much because maybe you're a rich person. Maybe you're a person that has more wealth than the next person. And maybe your harvest is so plenteous that you bring in a tenth of your harvest is so much to where you can't carry, you don't have, your family can't carry it, you don't have enough. Okay, look what it says. Look what he says do. He says in verse 24 of Deuteronomy 14, "If the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from thee, which the Lord thy Yah shall choose to set his name there, when the Lord thy Yah hath blessed thee." Look what he says. "Then shalt thou turn it into money." Where they getting the money from? Where they getting the money from? Can somebody tell me, if it wasn't no money in Israel, where was they getting the money from? Where was they getting the money from? The Most High told them not to deal with no other nations. All right? The Most High told them, don't go dealing with no other nations. So where did they get the money from? Where did they get currency from? Other Israelites. Other Israelites who had currency. So they went to these Israelites, and I'm going to show you it was money in the temple too, here in a minute. Just so y'all think that all it was crops in the temple. No, it was money going on in the temple too. We seen that in the New Testament when they were selling stuff in the temple. What they were selling? Were they exchanging an ox for some cucumbers? No. They were selling stuff in the temple because there was a currency. And Hamashiach got mad at them because it was getting ready to be a feast day. And instead of them preparing for the feast, they were over there still making money, selling stuff in the temple when they should have been preparing for the feast. It's always money always going through the temple. And if there's money in the temple, that means the priest was touching money too. Okay? Let's get it understood. Now let's read. Look what it says. He says, verse number 25. Who would say verse number 25? Let me go now. Make sure I got this. Okay. Verse number 25. "Then shalt thou turn it into money, and bind up the money in thy hand, and shall go unto the place which the Lord thy Yah shall choose." Okay. "And thou shalt bestow that money for whatever thy soul lusteth after." Thou shalt bestow of thy money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, for oxen. Because why? Because a part of the tithe was also animals. Animals was also a part of the tithe. Not just fruits and vegetables. Animals too. Oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, something to drink, because there's drink offerings as well. But there was also, that was a part of the tithe too, was drink. Because remember, the Most High said of all things, of all your increase, all your increase, okay? Or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desireth. Listen to what he said. He didn't say this was just a mandatory thing, whether it's fruits, vegetables, flocks, crops. He didn't just, that was man. He said, whatever your soul desire. So if your soul desire, hey, listen, man, look, I don't feel like buying this stuff, man. I don't feel like going out. Let me tell you how we do this. Let me tell you do this. This is Deuteronomy chapter number 14. We're starting at verse number 22, and we're already down to verse number 26, okay? Which we're showing that tithing was not just fruits and vegetables. It was all kinds of stuff. It was flocks, crops, goats, sheep, cattle, all of that stuff, okay? Let's look at this. Verse number 26, he says, he gives an instruction. He said, listen, thou shalt bestow the money, for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desireth. So let me show y'all how this works in the modern day sense. Okay, many of y'all go to church or y'all go to an assembly, whether you Christian or you Israelite. How many times have we been in the fellowship, in the congregation? How many times have we been in the fellowship or in the congregation? Okay. And we was having a feast day or an appreciation day or something of that nature. And there was a list put out of what food to bring for the appreciation or for the feast day. There's a list put out, a sign-up sheet. Okay, you sign your name and you'll put something on there. You know, I bring something to drink. I bring something. There's always a group of people within the fellowship that says, you know what? I don't feel like going to the store and buying this stuff. How about I give you the money? How about I give you the money? This is why the Most High said, or whatever your soul desireth, because he understands that it's some lazy Israelites out here. It's some lazy believers that sit around here and they say, you know what? I don't feel like, every time we have a gathering, they would rather give the money than to go buy it themselves. And half of y'all on here probably do the same thing. You know, what if I gave y'all the money? He go $100. Why don't y'all go get this? Just go buy whatever you need to get. There were people in ancient Israel doing the same thing. Because somebody said, well, in the law, it said, whatever my soul desires. So guess what? I don't feel like buying it. You know what? I'm going to contribute by giving you. And here's what you go do. When you go do this, I'm going to give it to you. And you go get what you need. Because the priest's job was to make sure it was distributed to the people properly. So the priest could get the money and turn around and go make sure that this orphan had what they needed to have. Because you contributed, your job was to contribute to the community based on wherever the Most High put his name at and where that feast and that gathering would be. It's the same thing when we have feasts nowadays amongst our Hebrew community. Sometimes we have feasts in Florida. Sometimes we have feasts in Georgia. Sometimes we have feasts in different states. And oftentimes the moray, the teacher, the pastor, The Most High speaks to them and say, hey, listen, this year, I'm going to place my name in New Orleans for Passover. That's where the Passover is going to be. Or I'm going to place my name here in Jacksonville, Florida, and this is where my name is going to be. Or, hey, listen, son, hey, Moray William Brown, hey, son, listen, here's where I want you to plant a congregation. This is where my name is going to be, and this is where I want B.O.O.M to be planted at. This is how the Most High functions, man. Because he sees things that you can't see. So we have to trust and fear him in making the proper decisions on following him based off of his name, not our reputation. Based off our reputation. We don't do things based off of us and our reputation. We make moves and do things based off of his instructions. So therefore, at this time he's speaking to Israel, there is no temple. But he's preparing their hearts and minds. Preparing their hearts and minds. We're going to get to that in a minute, Pastor Kim. All right, but let's look at this. Verse number 26. All right. And thou shalt eat there before the Lord thy Yah, and thou shalt rejoice, thou and thy household. Listen to this. Hold on, wait a minute, hold on. I want y'all to hold on now. Okay. Again, this is about community. If we change our way of thinking that the offering or the tithe, whatever you subscribe to, it still has to be given based off the heart and the mindset of making sure the community is provided for. Then that community also involves you and your family. But if everybody would give based off the mindset of taking care of somebody else, the person who's giving, it's still going to be reciprocated back to them too. Because they also are part of the community. He said, listen, this tithe that you're going to give is going to be for the community. And the person who's giving a tithe, not only the person who's giving it, but it's also going to be reciprocated back to you, just like this whole recycle symbol. Because you can't just give and don't partake either. So the person who's given from another household, you shall partake of what they gave, just like somebody else is going to partake about what you gave. But we're thinking about, oh, well, what is he going to do with the money? Oh, what is he going to do with my offering? Oh, what is he going to do with this? Oh, what is he going to do with that? The Most High ain't tell you to think that way. Man has told you to think that way. And guess what? Since we're all a nation of priests, all of us are robbing God, like the way it was done in Malachi. Yes, he was talking to the priests specifically, Malachi 1, 2, and 3. But guess what? Since we're all a nation of priests, we all robbing the Most High because of our thinking. What shoot, I ain't finna. That type of thing. And now you robbing the orphan. Because guess what? Your pastor, your moray may have a good heart. He may not be the crook like these others out here. But yet he can't properly do the will of the Father, being the priest, and distribute properly because the people within the community are failing to distribute. And so therefore, he can't distribute if you ain't doing nothing. So all we're establishing here is that tithing goes beyond fruits and vegetables. That was one aspect of it. And I told you there was three understandings or three different perspectives or instructions given when it comes down to dealing with that. Okay, let's read. Verse number 20, verse number 27. And the Levite that is within thy gates, listen to what he said. So he's talking to, here we go. He's talking to Israel. He's talking to all the tribes. He's talking to the 12 tribes right now. Specifically, 11. 12 are there, but 11 he's talking to. because you have to take Levi out of it because Levi don't have an inheritance. Levi don't have an inheritance of land to grow crops. So he's talking to the 11. Look at what he says. Verse number 27. Look what he tells the 11. And the Levite that is within thy gates, thou shalt not forsake him, for he hath no part nor inheritance with thee. He said, listen, don't forsake him. His job is to man the temple. Take care of the temple. Don't look at he ain't about what he not giving, because he don't have nothing to give. I've dedicated, and oh, Lord have mercy. The priest in the modern day is giving more than the people than the 11. In this day and age, in ancient Israel, the 11 is instructed to give and make sure that the priests get it and distribute it. The priest don't have nothing to give. He don't have no land. He don't have no increase. All he has is his dedication to the temple, to the Most High, to make sure the people have a place to come and go, and make sure that they are service to the people. So the Most High said, don't you focus on what he ain't giving. Let me remind you, you too focus on what he's not doing, to where you can't even do what I told you to do. And you wonder why you're suffering. And you wonder why you can't prosper. Because your mindset is, well, let me see what he's doing. Let me worry about what first of all, the priest in this day, and he don't have nothing to give. He's been instructed not to give anything but a service to the Most High. And he's a servant to the people. But in our day and age, the priest is given more than the people. And this is the reason why a lot of times it's chaos and turmoil in the priest's house. Let me bring y'all into the world of being a pastor and a moray and a priest and all these different things. Majority of the time it's chaos and turmoil in the priest's house. You know why? It's because the priest is taken from his own house, and half the time he don't have it to make sure the people, I told y'all this yesterday. So the Most High, because the Most High understands, if the priest got an inheritance, if the priest cropping, if the priest is in the field, and the priest doing it, who gonna take care of the temple? Who gonna man the temple? Who gonna make sure that there's a place for sacrifice? Who gonna make sure there's a place for incense? Who gonna make sure there's a place for offerings? Who gonna make sure all these things? Because if he gotta work just as much as the people do, then the temple can't be taken care of properly. So this is what he's telling them. Don't look at what the priest's not doing. Don't look at what the priest's not giving, because I've given you an inheritance as a people to make sure the community is provided for and to make sure that you provide for the priest. Now, this ain't what I'm saying. This is scripture. This is scripture. This is what was going on in ancient Israel historically and biblically. Now, you fast forward to the New Testament, and we're under the order of Melchizedek, under the priesthood of Melchizedek, when there was a man that was a king and a priest, all in one man, before there was a split between Levi being the priest and between Judah being the kingship. If we say that we're going back under Melchizedek, then there still has to be provision. The people still have to make sure the provision is made that way there can be a equal distribution within the community. And the reason why we can't advance as a people, not only in that, but the reason why we can't even take care of the widows, we can't take care of the orphan, we can't take care of the homeless, is because our mentalities We say that we are free. We say that we know this book better than anybody. And yet when I look at the landscape, I'm looking like, well, y'all don't know this? Y'all not even following this. Y'all want to talk about tithe and what tithe is, and tithe offerings, and tithe this, if tithe in the New Testament is tithe fruits and vegetables, tithe this, and I'm like, okay, well, so when the last time you took care of the offering? When the last time you went and took care of the widow? When was the last time you took care of the poor? Oh, I just sold my time. That ain't in the Bible. You got to show me that. Show me that verse. That's not Bible. That's not Bible. This is the reason why I purposely, intentionally video, take pictures and show you, because I'm trying to change your mentality. I'm trying to change your mindset. You've been duped into thinking certain things is a Christian thing. And this book is what instructions he's telling you to do. Before there was even anything or any type of title identified as a Christian, there were things going on in this text in the Old Testament that people in the Christian church do today. That's Bible. It's in the book. And I asked y'all, I'm like, did you know about that? No, I didn't know that. Where's that? Half of y'all, this is your first time hearing this. That's a shame. If you say you're an Israelite and you talking about you studied this book, I can tell the difference between an Israelite and a fadlite. What is a fadlite? One who is all about Israel, but based off of fad, they really not living it. They really not about it. They really not about it. And eventually you'll fade out. You'll fade out. You will find yourself fadding out. Because one should not read this from an apologetic perspective. One should not read this from any other perspective, but learning how to live this based off the culture that is given and the custom that's given. If it's a fad for you, you might as well go ahead and turn in your slip right now. Go ahead and give up your fringes, give up your zitzies, go ahead and give up your kufi, go ahead and give up all your everything. Go and give it up. Because I'm like, this stuff don't make no sense. You're not even following this stuff. And then people telling you, don't do that, don't do that. This what it, and then they give you half scripture. They give you 5, and they're not giving you the fullness or understanding of what's going on in this book. And why the Most High asks for certain things. He's not asking for certain things to make the priest rich. He's not asking for that. There's certain requirements that need to be asked. You want to bang on somebody? I'm telling y'all, man, we need to start holding these brothers and these sisters at a higher standard. Folk get mad at me because I'm holding Israel at a higher standard. You talking about you know this book better than anybody else? Well, let's show it. Let's open up the book and let's see what you live in. The talk needs to end. Live this thing. We have an obligation to make sure that the homeless is taken care of. We have an obligation to make sure the widows are provided for. We have an obligation to make sure all these things are provided for and taken care of and distributed properly. Y'all spend y'all time banging online, posting memes all day, I'm so sick and tired of the white Jesus meme. I'm tired of it. It's foolishness. I'm sick of y'all always talking about the same stuff all the time. Every time Easter roll around, it's the same thing. Ain't none of y'all posting a meme or a picture or nothing about y'all doing nothing out here in these streets. Every time I look, I got to look at a meme about doggone TD Jakes, a meme about this person that's stealing your money, a meme about Creflo Dollar. I don't care what these people teach, but at the end of the day, where is your meme? Where is your picture of you doing something? You know how many people out here homeless? You know how many people out here need provided for? Where's your picture? When the last time you cut the old lady grass across the street? Or do she gotta accept the laws, statutes, and commandments before you cut her grass? The Most High ain't say that. When the last time you took out somebody's garbage? Or do you just drive by the person? How many times have people walk by you on the corner? And not one time you offered the homeless man anything. This stuff is madness. It doesn't matter how many cities you go into. It doesn't matter how many congregations you open up. If you ain't doing the work of Hamashiach, it don't matter. This stuff don't matter. Let's get real about this. This is not a fad. And stop saying that this is a lifestyle. Stop saying this is a lifestyle for you if you don't live it. Every time we gotta see your pictures at the feast day. Okay, we know you go to the feast. What else you doing? What else you doing? We know you go to the feast day so you can show people how good you look. What else you doing? This stuff don't make no sense. We got an obligation. If we're going to be leaders, we have an obligation. Let's keep reading. Look what it says, verse number 27. And the Levite that is within thy gates, thou shalt not forsake him, for he hath no part, no inheritance with thee. At the end of 3 years, thou shalt bring forth all thy tithe of thy increase the same year. You got a tithe? You selling stuff? Because there was a lot of people also bartering and trading and selling stuff in Israel. So you got a monetary? You got a monetary increase? Maybe your increase wasn't just fruits and vegetables and cattle. Maybe your increase was in the size of dineros, cents. Bring your tenth. Because guess what? If you look at the New Testament, them folk we bring is, let me tell you something. Israel understood the concept of making sure that the community was taken care of by giving so much that they had to tell the people, please, we got enough. Don't bring no more. Please, we have enough. They were bringing so much that they had to tell the people, please stop. When was the last time somebody told you to please stop giving too much? Can somebody tell me that? When was the last time somebody had to tell you to stop giving too much? The reason why, that tells me that it's a reason there's a lack going on somewhere. And ain't nobody clogging up your blessing. Ain't no devil after you. You blocking your own blessing. You blocking your own increase. You want to blame the devil. You want to blame the white man. You want to blame the Asian man. You want to blame the Indian man. No, you. You clogging up your own self. Because you too busy worried about what somebody else doing to where you can't do what the Most High told you to do. Verse number 28. At the end of 3 years, thou shalt bring forth all thy tithe of thy increase in the same year, and shall lay it up within thy gates. He said, bring it to all. And look, verse 29, look what it says. And the Levite, because he hath no part, nor inheritance with thee, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, which are within thy gates, shall come and shall eat and be satisfied. Stop. I'm going to read this for y'all slow. I'm going to read this for y'all slow. For those of y'all out there just running your mouth and don't know the Bible and don't know the history or the culture of Israel. This is about community. The Most High told the children of Israel, the 11 tribes, bring all your tithe, everything you got. I want it all. I want a tenth of all of that. Bring it all, because I'm going to show you why I'm telling you to bring it. I'm going to show you I have a purpose as to why I'm asking for this. The Most High don't ask nothing from you because he's trying to steal from you or because he's trying to hold you down and don't want you to increase. No, he's trying to get something to you. He said, listen, I'm going to prosper you. And as you prosper, I'm going to get, and the more you prosper, the more I want you to take care of these folks who don't have. And the more your hand is open and given to make sure the community is provided for, I'm going to put more in your hand. I'm going to increase you. But the more you close your hands, and see, the problem is there's a lot of people who close their hands and they have the nerve to say that their hands got them this wealth. See, that's the problem. That's the problem with Israel. The problem is you close your hand and say, I ain't giving up. Shoot, I work hard for this. My hands have gotten me this wealth. And the Most High told you in Deuteronomy, don't say that. And you say it anyway. You say it out your mouth and you say it with your actions. I'm gonna close my hand. I work hard for this. You're not gonna take nothing I don't work hard for. Now you simply saying what he told you not to say. Need not say my hands have gotten me this wealth. And you doing the exact same thing. And the Most High say, you know what? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, because they don't get it. They don't get it. They don't get it. And you wonder why other folk in Israel prosper and all this other stuff. Okay, let's read. Look what it says. In verse number 29. Look what he tells the 11 tribes concerning people within the community and the priests. He says, and the Levite, because he hath no part nor inheritance with thee, and the stranger and the fatherless. Listen, the Levite priests, okay, the Levites, all right? Look what it says. The stranger, all right? The fatherless, the orphans, the widows who have no husbands, which are within your gates, within your congregation or within your vicinity. Okay, look what he says. He says, shall come and shall eat and be satisfied. You know what that means? That means eat till they bust open. You know why? Because all y'all 11 tribes, I'm giving y'all so much increase to the point to what you bringing me is to make sure. Let me take it. You know how you keep. Let me explain something, y'all. Those y'all from the streets, been in the streets. Those y'all been in the drug game. There was a brother by the name of Freeway Ricky Ross, and I'm not talking about the rapper Rick Ross. Okay. Not only him, but there was also another brother that in the city I grew up in. He's a legend. He's banned from Jacksonville. His name is Henry Mann. And there's also other drug dealers that's, big time famous guys. You know what they understood? They understood community. Now you're going to tell me, well, what are you talking about? Man, they were putting drugs in the community. Let me show you how they understood it. Because when you distribute and everybody eat, you keep the haters down. See, the Most High understood something. If you have people lacking in the community, it causes turmoil. It causes envy. It causes jealousy. See, when you understand the dope game, you understand the street game, how things work. When you get the big connect and you got the plenteous of things coming in, you're bringing in an astronomical amount of drugs. What Freeway Ricky Ross did and others who had that mentality, they went to every drug dealer in the vicinity, in the county, in their area, and they put them on. They said, listen, in order to keep the government away, in order to keep somebody turning, in order to keep somebody from snitching, in order to keep somebody from hating, in order to keep, I gotta make sure everybody eat. See, this is a biblical understanding that has been used in a bad way practically. But guess what? Let me tell you something. Freeway Ricky Ross didn't go to jail because somebody in his community hated on him or somebody in his community snitched on him. No, the person who put him on snitched on him. It wasn't the people in his community who snitched on him. This is what I'm trying to get. Most drug dealers, most folks who want to be the main guy and want to be the star and don't want to put nobody else on, it breeds hatred. It breeds these type of things. And this is the reason why the Most High say, listen, I'm going to increase y'all, but you can't be stingy. Which means bring all your crops, bring all your flock, bring everything you have. And the priest is going to distribute it equally, starting with the poor first. But also, the priest is going to partake too. But don't worry about what the priest not doing and not giving, because they don't have an inheritance. Their dedication is to me. You worried about receiving the increase, and you worried about bringing it so that the people can eat. Because there's going to be people within your community that be in different positions. Whether there was a brother he's the sole income of his household, and he dies, and his wife is a widow, she have nothing. So guess what? The community have to take care. Let me tell you, some of y'all in Israel, y'all got family members in y'all family that are widows, and y'all don't even see about them. But yet you got the nerve to try to tell somebody what a tithe is. You don't even go see about your own auntie. Your own aunt, you know her husband was the sole provider. She's struggling, and you don't even do nothing for her. You ain't got nothing to say in Israel. You don't have nothing to say in Israel. Some of y'all pass by homeless folk every single day. And not one time, because you're too busy worried about, oh, well, what are he going to do with the money? Is he going to drink the money away? Is he going to do this and do that? Let me tell y'all something. You got discernment. You know doggone well. You can tell when somebody an alcoholic. And you can tell the difference when somebody on drugs. And you also know the difference when somebody is actually out there that don't have. They're neither on drugs or alcoholics. And you still don't do nothing for them. You still don't do nothing for them. And you know that these folks need something. And this is the issue that's going on, brothers and sisters. This is the issue that is going on that has to stop, because we have to change our way of thinking about things. And listening to Joe Blow, who ain't doing nothing, and trying to tell y'all how to do things according to the culture. Let's keep reading. We're almost done. And I'm going to do part 3 on tomorrow. And the Levite, because he have no part, nor inheritance with thee, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, which are within thy gates, shall come and shall eat and be satisfied. That the Lord thy Yah may bless thee in all the work of thy hand, which your blessing is predicated upon how open it is. Your blessing is predicated upon how open your hand is. Look what he says. He says, and the Lord thy Yah may bless thee in all thy work, in all the work of thy hand, in all the work in thy hand. Not just out there digging and shoveling crops. No, in all the work of thy hand, whatever you put your hand to. Not just crops, not just farming, whatever you put your hand to. It says, right, the Most High says, he will bless your hands. Because your mindset was, I'm going to do what the Father told me to do. And however the priest is not doing it, the Most High going to deal with him. The Most High going to deal with him. So I don't have to worry about tormented and wondering what's going on. No, the Most High going to deal with him. If he not doing it right properly. If he robbing. Most High always dealt justly. But he said, listen, I'm going to bless your hands because you brought the tithe in. And the tithe was given to make sure everybody in the community is provided for. But you thinking, oh, what the priest doing with it? Oh, the priest doing this. Oh, the priest doing that. You worry about everything about what the priest doing, and the Most High didn't tell you to worry about what he doing. The Most High told you to do this so that way the community can be provided for. Now, if the priest ain't doing what the Most High said do, then that's the priest. The priest gonna get dealt with. The Most High don't slip at all. God, Yah, is not slipping at all. He see everything. But he gave specific instructions to make sure the community take care of and to make sure that you are provided for you too. Because you can't give it an increase if your hands closed. Again, this is historically and biblically and scripturally. You go do what you want to do. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you the scripture. And I'm giving it to you based on what the Bible is saying. And I'm giving you the understanding of it broken down. Now, it's up to you to do what you want to do. I'm not going to tell you to do. I know what me and my house do. And I'm reaping the benefits of what me and my house do. Now, if you want to do what you want to do and you want to keep doing it, you go right ahead. You go right ahead. You go right ahead and you keep on doing what you do. But don't be the one mad because you see your partner next to you prospering and you running around here hating and you trying to ask him what he doing and he telling you, this is what I do. This is what I do. I ain't nothing special about what I do. And you think it's something secret. You trying to get, hey man, let me in on the deal. Well, ain't no deal. I'm telling you what I do. This is the deal. The deal is this. My hand is always open. And that's what it is. Point blank, period. And my trust is in the Most High to know that he's going to take care of and do what he said he's going to do. And I'm doing what I'm told to do. So therefore, I'm reaping the benefits of it. I don't care about nothing what these folks out here talking about what they're doing. The Most High going to reveal a crook every single time. He going to do it every single time. But while he's revealing the crook, he's going to also make sure that you are prosperous. He's going to make sure that you have favor, whether it's in business, whether it's in ministry, whether it be on your job, whether it be whatever it is. He's going to make sure that you're provided for because you are doing what he told you to do. All right, Israel, I'm about to get off of here, man. All praise to the Most High. Shalom to you all. Part 3 on tomorrow. We're going to get into some of this currency thing. And I'm going to show y'all within the scripture that it was also money flowing through the temple too. Okay, so let's get this understood. And again, you read Deuteronomy 14, it tells you and it shows you that tithing was not based upon just fruits and vegetables, but it was a whole plethora of things that was involved within tithing, okay, as well as the different systems. You got one for the priest. You also got one right here in this verse number 20, verse number 29. It specifically tells you that that there was also the tithing was also for the Levites. It was also for the fatherless, and it was also for the widow. Okay, so these things which was distributed properly to the people to make sure that the community is taken care of in order to do the work within it. Now, when you fast forward to modern day times, you understand even then at that point in time, somebody had to buy. Hold on, let me see. I got a. All right, hold on. All right, somebody had to buy to make sure there was lights growing in the temple. Make sure there was fuel or some form of fire burning resource within the temple. And that had to, because the fire had to continue to burn within the temple. So they was using different things in order to do that. So what you doing? You drunk? Are you better be parked.
Hey.
What are you all here doing?
Listen. I'm gonna say this to you. You are tackling something that even the Christians have a problem with. Now, Let me say that quickly because a lot of times, and this is really for the James 1 and 1 crew, those that are coming. Let me park here real quick. Those that are coming to the James 1 and 1, I want y'all to understand something. That this same issue is in the Christian church. And so a lot of times when we say Hebrews and Christians are so different, we're really not. We're really not. We're really not. We have the same problems that you all have. Now, my issue with folks that don't believe in tithing, I don't like to tithe, is we always give the crooks more talk than we give those that are doing it for real and doing it the right way.
Right.
This is what I love about God. It's when I do tithe, once it leaves my hand, my blessing comes my way, no matter where it goes from there.
Right.
So folks can get crazy and be crooks if they want to with my money. But the blessing is not where the money goes. The blessing is the money leaving my hand.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
why I'm doing it, why I am tithing, to help the one in need, to help the orphan, to help the widower. And you're gonna get them on the next one, part 3. So I ain't gonna get deep on it because I know you're gonna hit it. But you know, a lot of us talk about Old Testament. I'm a different type of Christian. I am what you called an aggressive Christian. I am an aggressive Christian. I don't believe that the New Testament abolished the Old Testament or the Torah.
Right.
Period.
Right.
That's not my belief. God said, I did not come to do away with the law, but I came to fulfill the law.
Right. That's right.
His death was because the Pharisees, scribes did not know what the law looked like. They only knew what the law read.
That's right.
So I know what the reading of the law is, but I cannot find out what it looks like. And it looked like Christ. He fulfilled it. And so they killed what they did not understand.
Right.
Even though they were supposed to be proficient in the law. Period. They're supposed to be proficient in that, in which they was not. So once that tithe leave my hand,
right,
the blessing is already on its way.
That's right.
Listen, there could be 15,000 crooks. Man, listen, there's been crooks ever since the Old Testament. There are crooks in the New Testament, Doc. There are crooks all over the place. All over the place, Doc. So if I hold back my money because of a crook, that's why I thank God that God is God. I thank God He is Spirit.
That's right.
Because once that thing leaves my hand, whatever's coming my way is already coming my way, no matter what people do with my money. No matter what people do with my money. Now here's the real problem. And the only reason I came because you was at the end. I didn't want to disrupt you. Here's the real problem. And I'm gonna say it.
Say it.
Folks just don't want nobody telling them what to do, man.
That's it. That's true. That's true.
Folks don't want to be obedient to nobody. But catch this. The main ones talk about they ain't nobody gonna tell them what to do. They busy telling other people what to do.
Facts. That's facts.
So how you gonna say you don't believe in this, that, and the other, but you telling everybody else to believe it for you? But you don't believe it for who is supposed to be covering you or supposed to be teaching you. You know, one of those crazy ones that put your name out there, put my name out there, you know, like they thought I was a punk or something. I don't know. But you know, they come out, I don't believe in this and I don't believe in that. But yet they doing the same thing. They trying to do the same thing. Watch this. And they're failing at what we're successful at doing.
Right. That's right.
But they trying to do the same thing. You can't tell me I ain't gonna listen to nobody, but yet I got a whole church listening to me. I mean, I got everybody listening to me, man. You listen to me. You know, higher ground listen to me. So how I'm not going to listen to Dr. Hall? How I'm not going to listen to someone over me? Here's what Jesus said. For all those folks that don't believe tithing in the New Testament, I can show you where the Bible says, here it is, that they gave until the needs of the church was met. So that's beyond your 10%.
Yeah, that's
true.
So
if you want to also, okay, let's get rid of tithes. So this is what I'm going to do. If you want to get rid of tithing, okay, cool. So this is what I'll do. Put all the church bills together and then y'all pay it until it's done.
That's right. That's what I said yesterday. I said it yesterday. Same thing.
Until it's 100% paid. You're going to keep paying this offering. Because they said, and they paid until the needs of the church was absolutely met.
Facts.
Then we had Jesus on another occasion where they tried to trip him up about paying taxes. Remember the scripture? They said, are you not going to pay taxes? Which means if Jesus is going to pay taxes, he must have had money. Now I'm going to leave that alone.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, he told one of them, he said, where that money? They was asking about Caesar. He said, let me see that money. Who face on this money?
Absolutely. He said, now, this is what I want you to do. Go on down to that river and get that pearl out that fish mouth.
Yeah.
He says, here's what he says, and I want everybody to catch it. He said, give Caesar what belongs to Caesar. But then he turns around and says this, give God what belongs to God. He was referring to the tithe.
Yeah, that's what it said.
He was referring to the tithe.
Absolutely.
And so Malachi is taught so wrong and so out of context, because Malachi wasn't talking to people, he was talking to leaders.
That's right.
Who were stealing from people.
Yep, that's
right.
And
that's why they asked the question, because they tried to be smart. Where have we robbed you? What you mean we robbing you? He said, don't be playing with me in your tithes and offerings.
That's what he said. I'm going to get that get back. I'm going to get that. I'm going to get that get back.
In your tithes and offerings. Bring ye all tithes and offerings to the storehouse, that it may be meat for my people. That's what he said. And he says, if you give it, you don't have to steal it. I'll open up the windows of heaven.
That's what he said.
And I'll pour you out a blessing. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to let you go, because I'm going to get a haircut, because I ain't had one in 2 weeks. And that's
I got to get one too.
Ain't nobody going to stop me from tithing, because it works.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't of God, it wouldn't work.
Right.
If it wasn't of God, it wouldn't work. I was broke until I started tithing. I was broke until I started tithing. And when I started tithing and tithing correctly, God opened up doors and windows for me that I don't have room to receive, neither do I ever want shut. Neither do I ever want shut. So let me say this, shameless plug.
Go ahead.
All of y'all that's on here, James 1:1. Hey, next week,
It's here already, man.
It's already here. James 1:1 is going to be the place to be. I got people in Jacksonville, Florida, who I forgot they were there. They just hit me up last night talking about they all coming.
Wow.
I got people that was in school with me 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when I was a sinner. They don't even know to save me. And they all said they coming to the James 1:1 conference.
Man, it's about to be crazy. It's here already. I'm just excited for the fellowship, and I'm excited for the word that's gonna go forward through everybody, man, and just all the different elements of what God is doing, man. I'm just excited about it. So next week, woo, man.
Let me say this, and I'm not gonna give you no spoiler, no trailer.
Okay.
What God has given me.
Yeah, we can't get no spoiler now.
I'm not giving nothing.
Can't get no spoiler.
I'm not giving nothing. But let me say this and be real. I had a conversation with my father. And that's all I'm gonna say.
Wow.
And you know my father.
Yeah.
So you already know what's coming.
Yeah. Oh man.
And I've never asked my father ever about preaching or what should I look at and what should I look at until this conference. That's how important this conference is to me.
Yeah.
That I went to my father and I said, I need your help.
Yeah.
How can I be a blessing and not an offense to God's people?
Right.
And he gave it to me.
Yeah. I think that's awesome, because that hasn't been this is something new, to be able to have, you got non-traditional Christians, you have traditional Christians, but you also have Hebrews. It's something new and something different, but I think that the people trust me. They've been following me long enough now. Many of them trust my voice and trust what's going on, and then they watch you. They watch some of the others who are going to be there and involved. So they know it's going to be interesting though to see.
Let me say this: all you really doing it, and I hope folks catch what I'm getting ready to say. All you really doing is giving them a taste of heaven.
Oh, woo! It's gonna be interesting.
It's a
It's
taste
gonna
of
be
heaven,
interesting.
Doug. It's a taste of heaven. And this is I believe God is giving us a litmus test.
Yeah, yeah,
He's testing us, man.
yeah,
Because if we can't make it here together, we ain't going to go.
yeah. That's true.
So he's
That's true.
testing all of us,
Yeah,
all of his people.
yeah.
He's
And also
testing.
being able to sit down, reason. I think the
Yeah,
reasoning is the aspect that a lot of people are missing. And if we reason, we can get an understanding more so, because it's a different spirit when you're talking about dealing with debating, you're dealing with reason.
right.
You come with an open mind and an open heart to listen and just want to hear the perspectives, because none of us have it all. You know what I'm saying?
Nope.
We none of us have it all, and we're all trying to get there. You know what I'm saying? And the understanding. So, all right, Pop, man, I love you. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna get off here,
Love
and
you, man. I'm out.
I'll be hitting you up. And thank you for the wisdom. All right, brothers and sisters, I'm gonna get ready to get off of here, man. And I can't wait. I'm excited about next week. James 1-on-1 conference is going down. I got to get off here because I got to try to. But next week it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy in Jacksonville, Florida. If you haven't planned to be there, make sure you plan to get there. Is ASAP. It's gonna be crazy. I'm telling you, it's going to be absolutely crazy. What's going on, Sister Booja? What's going on? I love all y'all, man. I'm going to get off of here, man. Y'all stay up, man. All right, shalom. I hope this lesson really blessed y'all. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/itsmajors1. Those of y'all that are watching via YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And it's going to be awesome, all right? Blessings to you all, man. Love all of y'all with the love of HaMashiach. Shalom.